Tonight on Meet Your Double Feature. Imprisoned Marine John Robbins battles a maniacal warden and island cannibals in the sci-fi action thriller No Escape. Then, teenage academy student Max Fisher grapples with painful loves and unlikely friendships in the coming-of-age comedy Rushmore. It's an almost entirely unrelated double feature, and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Meet Your Double Feature, a double-blind movie review podcast. My name is Thomas, joined, as always, by my brother Frank. Frank, how are you today?
I'm so excited.
He's so excited. He's like that song. So excited.
I was thinking of Saved by the Bell.
Oh, yeah, where she's on the caffeine pills.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in that she's actually scared, as she says afterwards. Anyway, welcome to the show. If you've never joined us before here at Meet Your Double Feature, this is a back-to-back movie review podcast with a bit of a twist. The way it works is that Frank and I have both selected a movie for the other to watch and review today that neither of us had seen previously. We're just making our best guess about what the other person might like. We're going to review both of those films, give each one a score out of 10, and whoever gave the better blind movie pick for this episode will be declared the winner. We're also going to keep track of scores as we go. In season 1 so far, which this is episode 9, I'm still ahead by like 4 or 5 points, I think. But Frank, you did win our previous episode for the first time in a while. You got a big win, so maybe the turnaround starts now. What do you think?
Oh, I know so. The momentum is going my way.
The momentum's going. A while back, he gave himself a halftime pep talk that appears to have been paying dividends. We'll see if I can cut him off, or if he will win the day once again. Frank, that actually leads us right into our first review. So you're going to kick us off with the movie I asked you to watch, which was 1994's No Escape, starring Ray Liotta. I cannot, for the life of me, remember anything about this movie, which is a common problem we run into here. I think it's a science fiction film, and I don't know, I just like Ray Liotta, and I like the idea that a couple years off of something like Goodfellas, you know, like a very high art mafia thriller, it's like, you know what if he was like a spaceman?
Yeah, yes. Well, that's my first note that I have written down here about this movie is weird to cast Ray Liotta in a movie that's not Goodfellas? ?
Yeah, like any other movie. I think he should just stay where he was in Goodfellas.
Which, that being said, Ray Liotta is a great actor. It's just like, it was like, I don't know, I haven't seen him in much else. Like, so it was like almost off-putting to see him in just like standard sci-fi action movie.
It's a weird fit.
It is. And we'll get into if it works for him or not, but I believe from some of my reading I was doing after watching the film that it was something that he wanted to do. Like, it was like a goal of his to be like, you know, the lead in like a action film where he gets to play the hero.
What's the line from Goodfellas where he's like, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a gangster, but he's like, nope, spaceman.
Spaceman, yeah. This doesn't take place in space, actually.
Well, you messed up, Liotta.
I mean, he didn't say that. You said
job.
that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm imprinting.
Yeah. You just wanted to be action hero, man.
Ever since I was a kid, I wanted Ray Liotta to be a spaceman. All right?
To infinity and beyond, Ray Liotta.
Yeah. Okay, we're on Earth. We're on Earth then, but it's still. Are we in the future?
Yeah. So This is the other thing I wanted to. So the film opens with, which these are always funny, those films that were made in like the 80s, 90s, and they would always pick like a future date. You know, it's like the year is this one is 2022.
Oh, recent.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm gonna read. It's short, so I'm gonna read it verbatim. The opening text.
Okay.
Because this one, it just might be the most. I think they nailed it actually. So the film just opens and it says, in the year 2022, the international prison system is operated by private corporations. Criminals from all over the world are exploited at a profit. Prisons have become big businesses. That is 100% factually correct.
Yeah, that's a news article that they've made.
Yeah.
Yikes.
No notes. They got that.
No notes.
Probably the most accurate one of those I've ever seen.
Yeah, the prison industrial complex is a thing. Bummer.
So that was right away. I was just like, oh man, because then the movie begins and you know, it has this sort of like sci-fi aesthetic to it, and they're throwing Ray Liotta in this like futuristic prison, and there's like a robotic warden voice saying, you know, you're gonna be here forever and all this stuff, and I'm like, wow, I'm in for a fun time.
Yep. Who loves anything more than a good old fashioned depressing prison movie?
Yes, it doesn't stay there though. It goes to a different place. So we'll get into that. But I mean, yeah, just right away I was like, oh my God, just like on a personal level, I'm like, this is one of my worst nightmares. So like,
oh yeah,
just
to be you know, convicted of all your crimes and to face justice.
Or, allegedly.
I just can't imagine actually paying for what I've done.
Listen. Yeah, we can talk about that off air. But,
we'll cut that out. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it was just like I was prepared to be horribly depressed the entire time watching this film. But then it like really early on just makes an interesting twist where, and I'll just kind of briefly get into the beginning of the story, I guess. But like, you know, Ray Liotta, he's thrown in this future tech prison, and he like right away has beef with like the warden, and the warden, to punish him, this is like his first like step one. He's like, all right, this guy stepped out of line, throw him on the island, and then they just immediately take him out of this prison and drop him off on like a forest island nearby. And I'm like, oh, well, this is 100 times better. Like,
yeah, that seems like a significant improvement.
Yeah, I was like, why would you ever, like, this is the punishment? Like, you get...
Yeah. If you act out of line one more time, we're going to let you go.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wait, this feels really backwards. This is a really pretty island he's on now. Like, and that's where the rest of the film takes place. So I was like,
good.
Okay, all right. This is great.
Yeah. Well, relax. Nothing else bad will happen.
Yeah. And then it gets into things, and you see why that's a bad thing. But I couldn't help thinking that the entire time. I was waiting for that point where I was like, yeah, but like personally, at what point would you rather be back in that prison? You know what I mean? And I was like, I don't think I ever really got there.
I'm going to assume there's some other side to this where it's like you're on an island full of dinosaurs or mutant monsters or something. But even so, fresh air. Can't beat the fresh air.
Dude, fresh air, lush greenery, like, you're just, like, especially because of the way that they, like, literally as these prisoners are being let in, they're like, you're gonna die here, you're never leaving, and it's like, all right, well, I mean...
Yeah.
I guess I'd rather, like, live my last moments on this beautiful island than in that disgusting prison cell.
They forgot to show the part where they're like, if you're on your best behavior, you'll die in prison.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
If you step out of line, I swear we're going to send you on the first train out of here. And they're like, no, wait.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. Yeah. So that was good. That was good. I was immediately, I saw the points total going down. You were like quickly spiraling towards grifters levels. And then I was just like, okay, all right.
That has been the implicit threat in our episodes so far, is you towing the line of making me watch weird art films and me just giving you really sad movies.
Yeah. I was like, you got me again.
Take that, making me watch Fallen Angels.
I'm gonna keep them coming.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is where we go from there.
Okay, so no escape, not a huge bummer. Just that's an inciting action as he goes to jail and then goes to some sort of prison island.
Yes, which I get, like, I don't know, maybe the movie was marketed that way, actually, but going in blind, like, that's not the direction I expected to go in. It's like, it's no escape from this island. And, like, to get into it, the danger of this island that he encounters immediately is all the other prisoners that have been sent there have sort of formed, like, gangs on the island, and they're, like, cannibalistic. because it's sort of revealed through the story that like this prison warden, this is like something he does for fun or to like punish these prisoners. Like he's not supposed to be doing this, but this is his kind of like special form of punishment or entertainment for himself, is sending these prisoners out onto this island and just letting them fend for themselves.
Yeah, he's just doing a little Squid Game or something on the side.
Just on the side, just a little side action
just
for the
on
warden.
The side. He gets his paperwork done, okay, Chief?
Somebody that gets it done. Like,
yeah, it gets done, I guess, but, you know, just let me have the Squid Game.
Yeah. So right away, Ray Liotta encounters these group of cannibalistic prisoners that have been left behind on this island. And the leader of this group that he encounters, I want to highlight him right away because he is, without a doubt, the highlight of the film.
Okay.
The actor's name is Stuart Wilson. And from his first line of dialogue, I was like, that's the bad guy from Ninja Turtles 3.
Wait, what?
Yes. He was Walker, was his name in that film, in Ninja Turtles.
Oh, the white guy, bad guy from Ninja Turtles 3.
The guy with the birds.
Oh, the guy selling them the gunpowder and stuff. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, he was also probably more, like, well-known for being, I think he was also the bad guy in The Mask of Zorro.
That's arguably more well-known than Ninja Turtles 3, but not to us.
Some might say. Exactly. I know my audience. I know who I'm talking to here.
Yeah, exactly. Ninja Turtles. Let's hone in on that.
Yes. And he's great in everything I've seen him in, actually. All three of those films. Like,
there you go.
But he's so good in this. I mean, he walks that line so well, but between being just like the kind of fun, goofy villain while still being genuinely intimidating, which is a narrow and difficult line to walk, actually. Like, some villains, you know, especially with their performances, they might, if you just sway just a little bit, it's like, this guy's too likable, he's too fun, you know, or or he's being too wacky, and it's just like not landing anywhere really. But he's like perfect in this, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. He just brings so much charisma to this whole thing, which is this film really needed. So like, that's why I just wanted to get to him right away, because I'm like, he holds this whole thing together with his character and his performance.
Because again, we're always picking based on casts, and I thought you were going to talk about Lance Henriksen, because he's in this, right?
Yes, yeah, Lance Henriksen is great. What are you most familiar with him for?
For me, Lance Henriksen is kind of just sci-fi franchise guy. I think he has some sort of accolade where he's like the only actor to be killed on screen by a xenomorph, the Predator, and some other famous sci-fi. Oh, maybe it's The Thing or something. Like, he has been killed in so many like famous sci-fi movies that it's like he's checked a bunch of boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. He's great in this as well. Like, the first thing I thought, because his voice is so distinctive, and again, another sci-fi property he's connected to, is he's the voice of Admiral Hackett in the Mass Effect games.
Oh yeah, I never placed that, but you're right. That's totally him.
Yeah. So, like, I was like, again, like, the first line he spoke, I was like, oh, yeah, that guy. Like, people would probably be most familiar with him from the Alien films, I think.
Because he was in the second one. He was in Aliens. He was their, like, android guy.
Yes.
Which, people love Aliens, both as a statement and as the title of a movie.
Right. Yeah, just generally speaking.
Just generally, they're a fan. Okay, cool. So I'm glad that the cast helps, because I will say, it's a coin flip for me whether Ray Liotta would add or detract from this particular movie, because he's a great actor, but I could see him not meshing.
So here's the thing with Ray, our good buddy Ray. His performance was reminding me, especially in the first half. There are some moments where he sort of breaks free from this, but it was reminding me of exactly what you said about Bruce Willis in The Jackal, where his character is for a majority of the film just sort of this like silent brooding type, and it just looks like Ray Liotta just showed up and stared at the camera that day. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I've seen that in many other films too. You need either very competent directing or something communicated to the audience that lets you know what they might be thinking about. for that to ever work, because otherwise it does feel like they're just not really invested in the performance. Like, I'm sure Ray Liotta had a lot of thoughts in his head about what this guy's going on about, but if the movie doesn't set you up, you're just like, what's he doing? Why isn't he talking?
Yes, exactly. And the way the movie is structured, and like given the premise too, that these are all people that have wound up in this prison facility, there's like several characters along the way that you meet, and then a few of them have scenes where they kind of reveal why they got sent there in the first place. And, you know, people are kind of trying to figure out why Ray Liotta got sent there. They do say, actually, in the beginning of the film that he was in the military and he killed his commanding officer, and that's why he got sent there. And then there's a lot of dialogue about him, you know, being very anti-authority, which is why he gets into it with the warden right away at the beginning of the film. But they don't, it's not till the end of the film where it's kind of revealed like why he did that and why he kind of has this like PTSD. And so it's kind of like looking backwards, it informs why he's acting the way he is for most of the movie. But for the front half of that movie, it's just like Ray's just giving you nothing, you know?
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to have like louder characteristics surrounding the performance too. Like, I think an example of this that works is Kurt Russell in Escape from New York, the Snake Plissken character.
Yeah.
Because he
absolutely
is really quiet, very moody. There's a bit in Escape from New York, like somewhere in the second act, where he's like in a similar boat. He's in like a prison island, essentially, trying to track somebody down. And he just finds like a folding chair and just sits in it because he's just tired. And he's just like, man. But it works. It's like unspoken charisma. But that's partially because he's like kind of cartoonish in how he's portrayed overall. He feels like an anime character.
Absolutely.
If it's too grounded, like sounds like maybe Ray Liotta is, and definitely with The Jackal when I talked about that, you just have nothing to latch onto. It's not cool. It's not like brooding. It's just nothing.
Yeah. Because like in Escape from New York, I just love that movie. That's like one of my all-time favorites. Like, and it's exactly like you said. It's cartoonish. It's like campy in a way, because something that helps in that situation with Kurt Russell's character is everywhere he goes in that movie, people know him or have heard of him. Like,
exactly.
Even though it's
to
like
the point of absurdity.
To the point of absurdity. It's like, this is a prison. Why would anyone here know who he is? But instead, every single person, they're like, oh, Snake Plissken's here? Like, you know?
Oh, man. But yeah, and even people who shouldn't be excited about anything. It's like, oh, we found our own like cannibal corner over here. But like the head cannibals are like, Snake, I love that guy.
Yes.
Like, no, you don't. Why?
Why? Yeah, like it's insane.
Even we talked in an episode not long ago about the movie Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. And he's another one who's like a fairly quiet character, but his reputation precedes him. People are talking about him ripping throats out for some reason. There's lore about him, and then the characterization is like how much of that is true. Do we get anything for Ray Liotta from the other character's perspective, or is he just some guy?
No, it's like from the beginning of the film, it's like the warden has his eye on, it's like literally the beginning of the film is they're like taking like a train full of these prisoners into this sci-fi complex, and he's like looking over his profile, and he's, you know, like, oh, you know, this guy has all this combat experience, and, you know, it sets him up as like action military man. And some of the other characters comment on that too. And then you kind of see it with the way, like, especially once he gets to the island. And even before then, like, you know, the warden, there's a scene where he's trying to like get Ray Liotta to like fall in line, and he kind of takes his cellmate and wants Ray Liotta to like tase him with this thing, you know, to like punish him. And then Ray Liotta like quickly like takes one of the guards' guns and like holds it up to the warden's head, you know. So it's like you see right away that he has this kind of like how capable he is in that manner. Mm-hmm. But it's nothing like those other films we're describing, where it's like both of those sort of exist in a cartoonish universe, whereas this one tries to play it more grounded. So it just doesn't do as much of that heavy lifting to inform his character, I think.
Right. So it definitely sounds like they tried to communicate character through action. But if you then drop him into a space with other charismatic performers, and he still has to just be that guy, that's kind of a recipe for failure for your lead character.
Yeah, and I mean, he gets to show later in the film, like, his character has this PTSD, and so there's kind of like several scenes where wherever he sees things like on fire, it sort of like triggers that for him. And so he has these moments where he gets to emote, and it's all just very like visual, like facial performance. And that's good. I'm like, well, this is what you bring Ray Liotta in for.
Right. A legit dramatic actor.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just in those other moments, it's hard to get behind him as this sort of heroic lead because he's just not saying anything, to kind of, you're like, you have no idea. And I think that was kind of something I was thinking about this movie, generally speaking, is like, it's set in this sci-fi universe, but it doesn't do enough, in my opinion, to kind of show you like how this world works, like what's going on, especially since we spend the entire film just on this island, and then that brief like time in the beginning where they're just in this sci-fi prison place. It's like, I don't understand what this world is, like, or where. So it's like, I don't even know where this character's coming from. So I don't have enough. There's just very little to latch onto. And clock the time to book. This one was in the opening credits. It said it was based on a novel. Yeah.
Gosh, I think I've given you almost nothing but book movies. I'm not even doing that on purpose.
Well, it's a common thing. I mean, we've said it before, like, that's since the history of cinema. They've been adapted from,
Man, on paper, this looked like such a, like, action movie script. It did not look like a book treatment. That is actually a surprise for me.
I will say, from what I saw, I don't think it's like a 1-to-1 adaptation, though. I think it was maybe loosely adapted from a book, and maybe that's where things kind of got lost almost, because
I could see that.
It just feels like a confusing world. It's like, I just don't understand, like, to kind of get into, once he's on the island, he encounters Stuart Wilson, Walker from Ninja Turtles, and his kind of band of cannibals. And he escapes from them, and then he finds the other camp, which is where Lance Henriksen and Ernie Hudson are.
Oh, Ernie Hudson's here. I forgot. We got Ghostbuster.
Yeah, he doesn't do much. He just kind of shows up.
He doesn't bring his proton pack.
No. I mean, he's fine, actually. He's just gives a very serviceable performance, and he's great. He just has sort of a natural charisma to him. So it was nice to kind of have him be a part of your little good guy group. But he meets up with them, and they're on the part of the island where, like, the prisoners there have formed, like, a little community. They've, like, built little huts, and they're sort of living off the land and, like, farming. And they're like, oh, yeah, like, we kind of are almost at war with this other clan over here, the cannibals. And Ray Liotta's like, I got to get out of here. I got to go off this island, and they're like, well, why not just stay here? I mean, you have this little community here. And throughout the whole movie, I'm thinking the same thing that they're saying. I'm like, yeah, why not just stay here? Like, I don't know what the outside world is. I don't know. It's like
that's a great point. You can't make a prison story and not strongly communicate what is just outside that barrier for the characters. Like, you need to know what they're envisioning as, like, as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to go, to this place or to see this person.
Yeah, and it's like we have no idea what this, because this film was made in the 90s, but it's set in this future 2022 that they've envisioned. What does the rest of that world look like outside of where we are in this story?
Yeah.
And it's revealed at the end, the reason that he really wants to get off the island is to sort of reveal to the world, to the public, the reason that he, went AWOL and killed his commanding officer was because his commanding officer, like, ordered him and his troops to go do this horrible thing. And, like, that just felt kind of weak to me, because it's, like, not revealed up until the end. And it's like, you spend the rest of the time trying to understand, I guess, the perspective of this character and what he's aiming to do. Because he's just constantly saying, like, I got to get out of here. And then the other characters are like, why? And then as the audience, I'm asking the same thing, Like,
Yeah, it's not really personal enough. Like logistically, yes, that is a good reason, but that's something you could reveal earlier on, and I feel like you need like it'd be an easy thing to do, but it should just be like I got to get back to my daughter or something, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Give him something. Give him something relatable like that. You know, that
Right.
a general audience member can attach to, and he just has nothing. Like, there's nothing to kind of like latch onto with this character. And so I think it suffers for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it just had me sitting there asking so many follow-up questions in my head, you know, just trying to like understand the world of the film.
Yeah, which that's a problem with editing too. Like that's so much the rhythm of a film arrangement is like giving the audience a question to mull over, but then giving them the answer in the right amount of time so that they're not like distracted thinking about it.
Totally. Yeah. Because like I said, they're doing this with all the characters, you know, it's kind of like Lance Henriksen's character is sort of like the leader of this village community that they've set up on the other side of the island, and everyone kind of like, you know, reveres him, but like the characters talk about like, oh, they say he killed his wife, but he claims he didn't. And so then there's a scene between him and Ray Liotta later where he like admits that he did, you know, and he kind of has scenes with several of the characters where they're like revealing their backstory that way, and then you get Ray Liotta's version of that like near the very end.
I will say I don't like the trope where the people in prison all did a bad thing except the POV character who like did a morally justified thing. I think he should have also done a bad thing.
Well, that's the thing, he kind of did, because
yeah, I guess he kind of
he was ordered to do it, but he did do it, and that like that's why
he did do the war crime.
He did. Oh, for sure he did.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought he was like, no, and then he shot the guy. So he did the war crime, and then, okay, never mind. Retraction.
Yeah, his version of the story that he tells in the film is like, he was like, him and his guys were ordered into like, just like a peaceful village, and they like massacred everybody there. And he's like, oh, I knew, you know, I tried telling my commanding officer that, you know, there was no enemy troops here, and that we shouldn't do this, but he ordered us in anyway. And so then him and his men, they actually went and did it. And then when he came back, that's when he like killed his commanding officer. And then
sounds very Vietnam coded.
It felt that way. Which again, though, but it's like, what is this world that we're in? Like, tell me more, right. You know? And
was
like,
was this our world, but just further in the future, or was it a world where like that progressed completely differently?
And that's where I wonder...
Is Massachusetts okay?
Is Massachusetts even a thing? Did it ever exist?
Is Massachusetts there?
Yeah.
Can I go there now? Is that where he's going?
Where is she? Is she safe?
She?
Well, that was Anakin. That was his...
Okay. Sorry, I missed a perfectly good Star Wars reference. That's on me.
Yeah, just left me hanging there. It's fine.
I'm sorry. I thought you were just really personifying Massachusetts as a she. And I was like, all right. Sorry, please continue.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But that to me felt like, I like, again, I just felt myself asking these questions. I was like, was this lost in translation from the book? Was there like more of a backstory given here? And like, when this is adapted to film, is that what we're losing? But anyway, I don't want to like harp on that too much, but it was just something I felt like kept coming up throughout the film.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to encapsulate my understanding of the film so far. I feel like we've touched a lot on performances and character motivations. Is it like a just scene by scene? Is this like an action sci-fi movie, or is it more of just like a drama?
No, it's for sure an action sci-fi. And that's something I wanted to get into because there are like epic action sequences in this.
Cool.
Yeah. And those are actually really well done. They're really well shot, really well executed, great 90s like stunt performances, explosions, like all that good stuff. And you know, it comes from these kind of like warring tribes essentially on this island. And there's a lot of like back and forth with like Ray Liotta and Stuart Wilson's character, the leader of the enemy group. So it does set all that up for like, if that's what you went in looking for, you would not be disappointed. You get plenty of
okay, good.
that.
say you don't care about these characters and plots. You just want to see action.
Yeah. I mean, there was like some camera moves, especially where I was like, whoa, that like they just caught me off guard because they were so like fun and interesting. Like at one point, there's like Ray Liotta, like there's this dude like running at him, and like the camera is like following behind the guy, and like Ray Liotta like grabs his head and like slams it into like a pole, and like the camera like moves with the person who like as he's being thrown, and I'm just like, this is great. This is action that is incredibly well shot,
especially for the time. That's easy to do now with camera tech and drone shots and stuff, but to do that with a camera rig in 1994, that's impressive.
Absolutely, shot on film and what looked like, I don't know where this location was, but visually, I mean, it was, they were in like a jungle or forest of some kind, like, because it was supposed to be this island, and with really impressive like set design too, because it was like this kind of makeshift community that they built up, so it was like amazing production design there.
Awesome. Okay, cool. See, I hadn't gleaned that yet because we focused a lot on narrative, but I'm glad that the sci-fi elements kind of landed.
Totally. And to touch on that a little bit more too, with like how well the action was shot, the director of this film is Martin Campbell, who was the director of both GoldenEye and Casino Royale, 2006 Casino Royale, which is like an amazing, like that's like the best James Bond movie for me personally.
I would say it's maybe the only good one. I'll put that out there.
GoldenEye's fun too, but maybe GoldenEye is more associated with like the video game.
I think some of the movies are fun, but in terms of ones that actually are just like good films, or good to great films, Casino Royale for most six is like the best. Anyway, I'll get off that soapbox. Please continue.
No, I don't. I don't entirely disagree. But as I mentioned too, that he did GoldenEye as well, which is perhaps more well known for the video game adaptation. This movie, which might be a first for the podcast, has a video game adaptation. Funny enough,
really?
Yeah, on the Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo. Okay, don't mind me. I'm just googling Super Nintendo ROMs.
I haven't looked up any like footage or anything yet, but I was like, no kidding. There's a No Escape video game. That's really interesting.
Okay. We should put a pin in that, and we should, if we have time, take a look at the No Escape video game, maybe for a future like update.
Yeah, right? Like I was like, I kind of want to play that. Like
Of course I want to play that. I wonder if Ray Liotta does the voice work. I love when they make film actors like step into a trailer for 30 minutes to do all the dialogue for the game adaptation, and they're just so sleepy. Like what was it? I think it was the Spider-Man games with like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. If you play those, he delivers all his lines like he's just like half asleep.
Is it actually Tobey doing the lines?
Yeah. They brought them in probably while they were filming for whatever the movie was. And then he's just like, I'll get you, Goblin.
Well, it's funny you bring that up too, because like, again, I was looking up Ray Liotta. I was like, so other than Goodfellas, this man has done other roles, I assume.
Probably not just Goodfellas.
Yeah, but he's one of the main characters in one of the GTA games. I want to say like San Andreas, maybe.
Oh, he is. I knew that actually. I just forgotten.
Yeah. I'm sure that that's come across my desk at some point, but I also was
news from the front. Ray Liotta is in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, back in 2002.
Yeah, your desk was small because you were like 14.
But yeah, I was like, oh, that's fun. So a lot of like unexpected video game tie-in to this, like.
Okay.
And if you look at the cover art of this film, it almost does look like, I feel like you could just easily just take that, put it on the box art of a video game and sell it based on that alone. Because I doubt there was many people that like went and saw this film and then were clamoring for like, wow, I can't wait till the game comes out, obviously.
Yeah. It's more so, it's always the afterthought of like, oh, I did see that movie. I guess I'll play the SNES game. You know what I'm going to do? I'm gonna give myself some work. When we put these out on YouTube, we have the video version. I will try to splice in a couple of quick screenshots from No Escape, the video game, just so people could see what that's about. Because I have not yet looked at it, but I'm sure it's funny.
Yeah, Yes, please do. We'll both do some independent research into. I'd love to actually play it. Honestly, that would be like
absolutely.
just really fun.
We'll start up our Meet Your Double Feature Twitch account, and we'll play No Escape.
Sure, yeah.
Exclusively.
Just that one. Just any other film that has a video game adaptation. We'll just add that on there.
I wonder if any of them do. Like, was there like a soldier game?
Not from what I saw. I mean, I usually try and do some like extra research after I watch the films, and so I didn't see any soldier video game tie-ins.
Okay, good to know. That is kind of a tangent, kind of not, because it's about the film, but now I'm just thinking about the game.
No, yeah, it's super interesting, though. Yeah, I was just like, wow, that's, like I said, maybe a first for the pod. I think it is.
Possibly a first.
Unless Rushmore has a video game adaptation.
Rushmore has a video game.
A visual novel of some kind.
The point-and-click Wes Anderson game. Okay, so now the other to-do for editor me is to get the Twitch account, Meet Your Double Feature, before somebody snipes it.
Sure, yeah, that's true. We got to jump on that.
Got to get on that. Okay, cool. Okay, to recap my understanding, some good performances for No Escape, maybe a disappointing lead performance from Ray Liotta, not really his fault, just not enough material. Awesome sci-fi action, a video game adaptation.
Yes.
Those are the tenets so far. Is there any other like area of the filmmaking or just the movie's plotting that you want to go through?
Well, one other thing that is for sure a first for the podcast, maybe a first for me ever in a film that I've seen, is this movie does not have a single woman in it in any capacity at all. Like on screen.
Wow.
Yes.
Huh.
Just zero. And so from what I read, when they were shopping the film around to some of the major studios, that was the reason that the film got shut down. Like this film was pitched to some of the, like, you know, to be a major kind of blockbuster release, because that's the type of film that it is.
Right.
But the studio heads or producers or whoever was in charge of making those decisions was like, there's no women in the film at all, period. Like, so they're like, they passed on it because of that. And so it forced them to go with an independent film production company that had only done like 2 other films up until that point. It was called Savoy Pictures.
Interesting. Yeah, I can't think of an example. I understand that there are stories that are about groups of men for very specific reasons, but to not even have, like, I'm picturing, like, flashbacks to Ray Liotta's wife on a beach and then under a bedsheet or something. You know, just the usual imagery for, like, dead wife.
Yes, or like running along the beach with some kind of, like, scarf or something flowing behind them.
Yeah, like a big flowy dress, and then they're just like, but can you tell me anything about your wife? And then he's like, the dress and the hair. It's like, but what was she like? And
she
he's
smelled like seagulls.
She smelled like... Wait, what? That took a minute to register. Okay. I just thought about that now, that's how men in movies think about their dead wives, is not anything they said. Usually these scenes are muted. It's just like, she was talking about something, but she was on the beach.
Yeah, none of that, nothing. Like, and it's like, there was an opportunity too. Like, there's like, because while they're on the island, it's sort of cutting back and forth at times between this like control room where like the warden of the prison is like monitoring them. And there's people working there in that control room. And I'm like, there was an opportunity for even an extra in this scene to be a woman, but nope, it is all...
None.
Yeah.
Have we looked at the crew? Were there any women in the crew?
I would assume as much, but...
So it wasn't just a mandate, no.
Yeah, in terms of a mandate, yeah, it was definitely a mandate. It was all men. But in terms of, like,
and they're going on dates. That's why there's no women.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of on-screen characters, no. Which...
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, man, maybe there's some obscure art film I've seen that had only men in it, but this might be the first movie I've ever seen in terms of a feature-length film that was strictly all men.
Now I get why you called Massachusetts a she. You were just trying to get some inclusion.
Yes, exactly. I was like, no, no, there's too much testosterone in here.
Yeah. Can a movie fail the Bechdel test if there's no women in it in the first place?
Wow.
Oh wait, no, yeah, because that's the first part. That's the part they usually get. Because that's what is it? You pass the Bechdel test if there's more than one woman in the story, which No Escape has already failed.
Yeah.
And then it's supposed to be, do the women talk to each other, and do they talk about something other than a man or a relationship? And No Escape was like, well, we're not going to clear those other two hurdles, so let's just skip this first one.
Just completely bypass the whole conversation.
That's weird. I get it's based on a book. I can't imagine the author was like, if I see a woman in this movie, you're getting your, IP rights revoked. That just seems weird.
It was enough of a sticking point that the studios rejected the film, and I can't say I blame them at all because it's noticeable very early on. It's like, wow, this is just all dudes. Just nothing but. I get that it's...
That's not even good from an advertising perspective. I'm thinking of the most cynical version of a studio executive who would probably look at this movie that's marketed towards a male audience because it's sci-fi action and would probably be like, well, we need a woman to put on the cover. Yeah. And then they'll go see that's the most base marketing for a movie like this. And they said, no, we're in it for the craft. We're not in it for cheap advertising purposes. This is about dudes going to jail.
This is about man dates, okay? Dates on the island.
First manosphere film from 1994.
It was really I don't know. It was kind of shocking, honestly. Yeah.
Even we've done better than that. My wife does our introductions at the beginning of our episodes. This is a 2-person show, and we've had a woman on it.
Yes. Yeah. I was just wow. Nothing. I was expecting at some point, because, again, it's like you were saying, it's that action movie formula, even if you're being very, cynical about it. It's just you would have thought they would have maybe tried to adapt the story in some way to include at least one woman in the film, but
yeah,
no.
This feels like a reflection on the original author now. I want to see what was going on with them.
It's I guess, but they're no, prison.
No,
it's all dudes.
Prison. Science fiction future prison island. Can't have women.
But hey, like I said, we don't know what this world is. Maybe there is no women in this
Maybe there's no
universe.
Women left. That's a good point. They're the year is 2022. Women have collectively had enough and have gone away.
They're nope, can't. Yeah. I'm done with this.
Yeah, we got not interested. Okay, that's crazy.
Right? Isn't that something?
No escape from all the men that you have to talk to nonstop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's No Escape. Not what I expected. I feel I think that every time we talk about one of these, I think that's not what I expected, and this was no exception.
Hey, you know what? That's one of the advantages of the show, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Any closing thoughts on No Escape?
I'll just say, it was an interesting film because it was a film of firsts in some ways,
Yeah.
It had a uniqueness to it, and I didn't hate watching it, but I didn't love it. So
yeah, that doesn't bode well for scoring later on. Okay, well, you've stunlocked me with this series of descriptions about No Escape. I can't even think about a transition.
How do you encapsulate this? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna go to our
just
intermission now.
Anyway.
Yeah, just a big old anyway. We're gonna go into our intermission now, and when we return, I'll be talking about a movie that I promise has at least one woman in it. Stay tuned for Rushmore, everybody. Okay, coming back now on the other side of the break. Frank, it is time for me to talk about the film you asked me to watch, 1998's Rushmore. Do you recall why you asked me to watch Rushmore?
Yeah, well, I was just saying this off air, but this felt like to me, this felt like a slam dunk. you know, like early Wes Anderson, like kind of establishing his style, or maybe prior to him finding his kind of filmic voice, and the cast as well. I mean, just like, is Bill Murray, I believe, is in this one?
Yeah.
Bill Murray and Owen Wilson, like, just seemed hard to go wrong with this. So I'm curious to see what you actually thought of it.
Yeah, it was interesting for me for that same reason. I have seen not all of Wes Anderson's movies, but some. I know you and I both really like Grand Budapest Hotel, which he made much later. My wife adores Fantastic Mr. Fox. That's like one of her favorite movies. So I definitely have stuff in his catalog that I'm really familiar with, but I've never seen anything he made like before 2000. And for this one, I think it's his second film that he directed, second like main effort. And actually, you brought up Owen Wilson. He is not in the movie, but he co-wrote the screenplay.
Oh, okay. I just saw his name attached to it, so I just assumed he was a part of it.
The Wilson brothers, Luke and Owen Wilson, were like collaborators with Wes Anderson from the beginning, and we do get a very small role from Luke Wilson in this one. But I guess
Luke Wilson.
They weren't always in them. What's that?
I'm sorry, I was like, I like Luke Wilson. I feel like he's underappreciated, especially compared to his brother, but like he's usually great, especially when he shows up in like these types of movies.
Yeah, for some reason I thought you said, how old is Luke Wilson? Like that was just like your main line of interrogation. How old is that guy now? 40?
Tell me that right now.
42. Can we stop? Can we look up how old? No. Luke Wilson is great. He does not have a lot to do here. The main cast is Jason Schwartzman, who's another Wes Anderson collaborator, but he's really young. I don't know if this is like his first feature, but he's like 17, 18 when this movie was made. And then Bill Murray is one of the other leads. And then, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the third lead. Let me look that up really quick before I forget.
Should I just guess in the meantime?
We can guess. It's a woman, so we've passed the no escape test. Is there a woman anywhere in the movie?
Is it Oprah Winfrey?
Oprah Winfrey? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not Oprah Winfrey. Not Owen Wilson again either.
Oh.
But it is Olivia Williams. So you had the initials right.
Oh, cool. All right.
Which, I mean, really, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I was getting like a psychic message there, you know?
Yeah, you were doing like a hot read. You were like, I'm sensing Oprah, Olivia, and then they're like, Olivia? And you're like, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
We're on the same page.
Anyway, so yes, Olivia Williams, she's like the other lead. I don't know her from anything. She's done a lot of like British film and TV, it looks like. So that's your main cast. It's not really like a huge ensemble, like a lot of later Wes Anderson movies, but it is just nice to see Bill Murray in a starring role. I'm a big fan of his, like most people, but I don't think I've seen any of the Wes Anderson movies he's been in before this one.
Yeah, right. I think I've seen Life Aquatic, maybe one other one, but yeah, I mean, he usually appears in like he's not always like one of the main characters.
Yes, it seems from my brief review, looking at it, he seemed to be like a frequent collaborator in the first half of Wes Anderson's career, and then has appeared more sporadically since then. But he's definitely like probably the second or third lead in this one. So that part is interesting. This does, to your point, feel like a not yet formed Wes Anderson in terms of style, and that's a lot of what I like about it. I think that his more recent works, a lot of which have gotten very like middle of the road reviews, are to some extent because it's just more of what you've seen. And I think his style has become so specific and so one note in a way that it's both very creative and very familiar, which makes it less interesting. Whereas Rushmore, it feels primarily like it takes place in a real space. Does that make sense?
Yes, but elaborate on that.
So like newer Wes Anderson production design, I would say anything from like the 2010s onward for him, is done in a way that's very intentionally a facade. A lot of the sets look like paper-thin walls. It looks like there's no ceiling. It's designed to either resemble a stage play or like a pop-up storybook or something. And that's not because he doesn't know what he's doing. It's an intentional effort to create a sense of like surrealness in those stories. I also think that the character dialogue is very distinct in Wes Anderson movies. They all talk in this sort of unrealistic way that's kind of stilted and verbose at the same time, which Rushmore, smartly, only does for its main character. Jason Schwartzman in it talks like a Wes Anderson movie character, and nobody else does, which is quite nice.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that sounds very refreshing, actually.
Yeah, it's weird to go backwards to find the kind of reinvention, because I've seen his work, but it's so hard for me to place what this movie must have felt like in a world that did not previously have Wes Anderson in it. You know?
Yeah, that was well put too, actually. Because I feel like to that point too, of it feeling like a real world, like as opposed to a sort of visual production. Like we might have touched on that a little bit when we were talking about Tim Burton last week, because I feel like he has a very similar.
That's true.
Like stylistic choices in a very different way than Wes Anderson, but it kind of like sort of leads to a similar result.
They're very, I think, if my film school memory is returning to me, I think you would call them both expressionistic, because they focus a lot on reminding you of the space. There's a lot of geometry and attention being drawn to the facade of the film in the filmmaking. Whereas by contrast, something more, what's the opposite of expressionistic? Impressionistic. I would say internalistic. That's not it. The one that's like inside your head, that focuses more on that's like French New Wave stuff, things that are very much about breaking film form and rhythm, and it's all about close-ups and emotion. Expressionistic filmmaking is that kind of intentional distance, which I think a lot of people would observe in Wes Anderson's work because of how the people talk. Like, they are cold in a way. And again, I think that is still here in Rushmore, but it's blended into a more traditional piece of filmmaking, and I really like that element about it.
Yeah, that sounds great. That was kind of what I was hoping for. I may have not articulated it exactly that way, but was my intention with trying to recommend something early in his career like that. Or I guess more so my hope, because I haven't seen a lot of those films either. So
yeah, it's fun. It's definitely an interesting. I can imagine going to the movies in the 90s and seeing these early Wes Anderson films and being like, wow, these have really great cinematography. There's such a fun quality to this when it's like a novel thing. I guess to just explain like the base premise for Rushmore, it takes place at some sort of like fancy prep academy that's for like elementary through high school, it looks like. And your main character, played by young Jason Schwartzman, is a 15-year-old student named Max something. God, what is it with the names today?
Max Headroom.
Max Headroom. What is this man's name? Max, whatever. His name's Max.
HBO Max.
HBO Max is a student at the academy, which is called Rushmore. And the thing they communicate to you right off the bat is that he is deeply involved in activities at the school. There is a montage early on that shows that he has founded like 24 clubs and is the president of everything, including these super niche and esoteric things. He's like head of the debate team. He leads the beekeeping club. Just anything you can think of, he's doing, which is supposed to create this impression that he's like some sort of uber genius or something. But right away, after being introduced to this information, you hear from like the headmaster of the school, and they're just like, yeah, Max is kind of an idiot.
Really?
Like, he's doing really poorly in school. He's at risk of being expelled for bad grades.
Oh, I see. Because he's so involved in these extracurriculars?
Well, that's what's interesting. When the movie starts, we open on a Good Will Hunting-esque dream sequence where he's in the back of a class and there's like a math equation on the wall that the teacher says no one's ever solved. And they're like, man, if anybody could figure this out, no homework for the rest of the year. And then he like struts up and like solves it, but then you realize he's dreaming. And I was like, oh, it is just that he could be doing better, but he's not applying himself because he's too distracted. Or there's an impression that he just wants to stay at this school forever, which is true. It's like his comfort zone. But the movie never directly says that this isn't partially that he's just not doing well. Like, I think he isn't trying hard enough, but it's not like if he tried, it'd be easy. He inherently is just not smart enough to do great.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting character flaw for, the film.
It is, because he carries himself. He's basically like a little teenage boy trying to carry himself like an adult who's bigger and older than he is. He walks around, he's got his fancy blazer on at all times. He is in charge of everything, and he's always trying to communicate to other adults in the story as if he also is one, which is where a lot of the comedy is supposed to come from. And so that's like your big introduction to Max, is like he's not doing great, but also he's kind of doing great because he's so well known and like does so much around here. But he has a couple of early interactions with Bill Murray's character, who is essentially an alumnus from the school that I'm trying to think how to easily summarize Bill Murray's character. He's essentially a successful, rich alumnus who's like down on his luck in different ways, where his sons go to the school, but he like has no relationship with them because they're both just like jocks, and he doesn't like, he wanted smart kids essentially, and so he ends up bonding with Max as like, you're kind of who I wish my kids were like.
Oh, okay.
And their relationship is bizarre because the whole movie is filled with these age gap friendships where Max's two friends at the beginning of the story are this younger kid, this like elementary age kid who follows him around and is like his assistant, and then Bill Murray, who's like much older than him, and yet they speak to each other with no like authority tone behind it. They just kind of talk like they're friends the whole time, and then they turn into like romantic rivals as the story goes on. It's very
romantic rivals. Whoa.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember offhand. I watched this movie late last night, so forgive me, but there's a couple of beats early on where Max has a great line that kind of sums up his like perspective when the movie opens, where he says, and this is a quote actually, "I think you just got to find something you love to do and do it for the rest of your life. For me, that's going to Rushmore." So that's his like headspace at the beginning, but after being threatened with expulsion for not doing well enough with his actual coursework, he tries to like reevaluate his approach. And rather than take the obvious out of just stop doing so many clubs and activities, he for some reason decides his problem is that he's not focused enough on getting girls.
Okay, that's kind of a pivot.
He essentially, in order to avoid confronting the real problem, just decides that it's, you know, he's like, that's what I see all the other guys here doing, and they're all doing fine. Nobody's threatening to expel them. And he ends up coming across a quote, like written in the margins of a book at the school library, like some kind of Half-Blood Prince thing. And he finds out that the person who wrote it was this young teacher at the school. And so the real crux of the movie from a certain point onward is that Max has fallen in love with this adult woman who teaches at Rushmore.
Like he actually fell in love with her, or he just sort of like decided like, I'm in love with this person now?
You just figured out the whole plot of the movie before he did. Yeah, that's what happened. He fell in love with the idea of a relationship and a woman that he barely knows and spends the entire film trying to win her over while also having some side plots that involve the other characters. And I gotta say, this is where the movie moves into more muddy territory for how much I liked it, because everything that's happening here is done with a lot of intention. The movie frames Max's efforts to like doggedly pursue this woman as stupid and wrong because he's 15, as they keep saying. But I think you're also supposed to, from the filmmaker's perspective, find his efforts kind of charming because it's silly. Like, he's constantly coming up with these schemes to get alone with this woman and profess that he wants to be with her, but then he'll backtrack when she, like, pushes him away, only to try again later. It culminates later in the movie with him, like, faking an injury outside of her house so that she'll let him inside, and then he tries to, like, kiss her on the mouth, and she has to be like, get out of here. So it rides this line the whole time of being, like, awkward and uncomfortable versus, like, silly. And I do think that for the time, it's supposed to mostly land on, like, Max is misguided. But it is hard now not to watch this and be like, Max is a creep.
Yeah, I can see that. But it also doesn't sound like you're supposed to be, like you said, you're maybe supposed to find his antics charming, but you're probably not supposed to be, like, rooting for him to succeed in these, like,
no,
advances.
That's correct. You're supposed to be rooting for him to figure things out and leave this woman alone. But the way it's portrayed, this comes up a lot with filmmaking where you want something to be more visual, so you add an action to it that immediately crosses the line if it actually happened in real life. Like, there's one thing with him professing his love for this woman and trying to make her date him, but at one point, towards the middle, he literally is trying to, like, force himself on her. He's, like, grabbing her by the shoulders and trying to, like, kiss her mouth, and she has to, like, shove him away. And it's like, I understand that that's more visual and maybe gets the idea across, but that's, like, such an escalation of, like, a small kind of violence in a way where it's like, that's not funny, you know? It's just, like, it's one of those things where I'm sure you could recut the trailer for this movie as, like, a horror film.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he's obsessive enough that you could perceive it that way, that he's relentlessly pursuing her.
It would be funnier, like, they try to play this angle where she is so clear and firm. She's not, like, oblivious. She gets ahead of it immediately. She's like, Max, I feel like you're trying to form a relationship here, and obviously that's not going to happen. I need you to stop. And then he always kind of plays it like like he misunderstands or isn't quite sure what she's getting at, and then he just keeps trying, which can work if you do it in a very specific way. But I do think that at times in this one, I was just like, we've leaned too far. We've leaned too far, and it makes Max less pitiful and more just aggressively creepy. So I don't know. I think that's a really, like, that might vary person to person watching the movie. Some people might just take it more for what it's clearly trying to be, which is not a realistic situation at all. But if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, you know, like I'm picturing somebody watching this movie who's maybe been, like, relentlessly pursued by some man in a very uncomfortable way. And I don't think anything about this would read as funny to that person, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but it almost, I guess having not seen it, I'm not sure if that was perhaps the actual intention, that like you're supposed to be uncomfortable like with him and his character this way.
You're supposed to be in at times and in specific ways, but again, if you want the movie to still read as kind of like quirky and funny overall, you have to be very mindful of how you try to make that story land. And there's so many instances of him pursuing this woman, and it gets so like weird at a few points that it just, like, for me felt like it tipped over the edge of what it was. It was like a tightrope act tonally, and they kind of fell off towards the end.
Is it all mostly towards the end? Or is it just like, because I guess how much of the film is him pursuing this woman?
I mean, most of it. I'm trying to think of the overall rhythm here. So he gets obsessed with this woman. He ends up going around because she's a teacher at the school, and they do have like a friendship because, in her words, she's like a young woman, but she already had her husband pass away from some sudden thing. And she talks about how Max kind of reminds him of a younger version of her husband. And then so they spend a lot of that movie together, but then because Max is also friends with Bill Murray's character, he just ends up getting roped along at times, like, and it feels like the kid is taking these two adults out to do activities in a way where you're just like, when would this ever happen? Like, that's the heightened realism of the whole thing. But as far as plotting, Bill Murray also eventually falls in love with the same woman, which is why, again, they become romantic rivals by the time, like, the second act starts.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially because, like, from HBO Max's perspective, it's
yeah.
like it's a adolescent, like, misinformed type of attraction that he's confusing, and it almost sounds like, you know, he just set a goal for himself to find romantic partnership and just like latched on to this first person that, you know, he decided would fulfill that for him. Because the character is very young. Like, I was actually surprised when he said that at the beginning, that he's 15. That's a very, very young POV character.
Yeah, which is probably also supposed to soften the whole thing, because he is very short and small and, like, there's nothing physically intimidating. The woman is, like, much bigger than him.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, if it was off-putting to you, it's off-putting. That's just
it's not. That was... Yeah, I don't know. I kept thinking about that after I was done watching it. I was like, I don't know. I understand there's a lot of stories about this kind of, like you said, it's like an adolescent thing of a young boy trying to fill the role of what he thinks a man is. And in his mind, for Max, it was like pursuing this woman and having a relationship, even though we all know he doesn't know what that means. Like, there's a scene where the woman, Miss Cross, as they call her throughout most of the film, she gets so fed up with him, and she's just like, Max, what do you think is supposed to happen? She's like, do you think we're going to have sex? You don't know what that is. You don't know what you're doing. Like, it's a very, like, pointed takedown that he's just fantasizing, and it's ultimately fruitless, and in the meantime, he's bothering a lot of people.
Sure, because I feel like it's similar to the scene you described at the beginning, the Good Will Hunting scene, where he just has this dream, you know, that he's just going to, with no knowledge or preparation, he's just going to walk up and do things perfectly.
Exactly. So again, all of this is intentional. It's not a case of the writing and directing trying to achieve a goal and not hitting it. It's just about whether that makes the movie approachable for, like, a wider audience. Like, this movie feels like it's so much about a young man's experience. And while it's not No Escape, there are women in the story. It doesn't feel catered towards, like, a woman's perspective at all, which is totally fine. Not everything needs to be both, or all, you know, gender perspectives, but it is narrow. Like, Rushmore has a very narrow view because of what it's choosing to focus on, and I found that element interesting.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know how much of Wes Anderson's, the rest of his filmography focuses on similar ideas, or given that this was one of his earlier, because he wrote this film as well, right? Him and Owen Wilson.
Yes,
you said,
him and
were the
Owen Wilson
writers?
co-wrote it. I think he's written probably almost everything he's directed.
Yeah. So I would have to assume some of this comes from firsthand experience on
I
their
think so.
part.
I think it is a reflection of some sort of lived experience. The thing that haven't gotten to yet is that obviously this movie is a comedy. It's a very dry comedy in the way that a lot of Wes Anderson's movies are. And I don't think there's really anything in the movie that gets a huge laugh because it's not trying for that. It feels like a predecessor to that kind of late 2000s like indie comedy drama that you've seen 1,000 of, where it's like all amusing in a way, but it's not really trying to like make you,
guffaw.
Yeah, there's no guffawing here. There's like breathing through the nose kind of laughs.
Yeah, it's a humorous environment, not like
Yes, it's a heightened realism.
Minute.
It's not, there's not really like heavy punchlines. There's like silly qualities to the whole thing, but I do think that, again, it's hard to evaluate this retroactively. You know how people talk about like, there's a phenomenon where some people think the sitcom Seinfeld isn't funny because they've seen 20 plus years since of things influenced by what it invented. And so when you go back to the source, it's like not as interesting.
I couldn't disagree more, but
well, no.
Yeah, here you're coming from.
We don't
yes.
think Seinfeld isn't funny, but that's like a named thing. Like
Yes.
once you've seen the later influences, if you go back to the source, it doesn't feel novel, so it doesn't feel interesting, even though you have to remember it's like before this, there was nothing like this. And I think having seen a lot of later Wes Anderson movies, that's a quality about Rushmore. It's like the comedy and the comedic styling of the whole thing isn't making me laugh because I've seen it a lot. Whereas if you'd never seen anything like this, I think you would find the like rhythm of the editing and the shot compositions to be like inherently funny just because it's a bit unique. But the uniqueness is worn off for me because I've seen like 7 of this guy's movies.
Sure. Do you like, generally speaking, those types of films though? Like the ones you described or compared it to, the sort of quirky late 2000s like indie comedy dramas?
I find those all to be a coin flip. You know what I mean? Like I can't say I universally like or dislike them. Even among Wes Anderson's filmography, I think I really liked a couple and felt nothing towards the rest. So it's a type of comedy that has to like find a very narrow thread to like tickle you. And then if that works, you're going to like the movie quite a bit. But if you don't ever like find that way in, you're just kind of watching like, okay. And it's done.
Yeah, totally. Especially because especially this one, it's like it's like an uncomfortable type of humor.
Yeah.
It's like a type of humor where it's like you laugh because you're so uncomfortable you don't know what else to do in some situations.
Yeah, there's a cringe comedy element here for sure. Like I'm trying to think of a representative sequence. So one of Max's big things is that he's like he directs plays. That's like one of his main callings amongst all of the clubs and things he participates in. And there's a silly bit at the beginning where even though this is like a school full of mostly young children, they're putting on like a stage play rendition of Serpico, the Al Pacino movie. So it's them talking about like gangsters and guns and stuff. Like it's all intentionally ridiculous. And then as it goes, like towards the end of the movie, he puts on a big play that just looks like Platoon. It's like a Vietnam War thing. So these bits are very silly, but he has an interaction where he invites this teacher lady, Miss Cross, to the play. And then she brings Luke Wilson along, who she's clearly like seeing. And they had this dinner planned for afterwards. So then we cut to this super awkward dinner that's like Max and Bill Murray and the teacher and Luke Wilson. And Max is like, again, he's 15. He's tiny as heck. He's trying to like essentially out alpha Luke Wilson throughout this whole conversation. He keeps like acting like he doesn't remember his name. Like they say it like 6 times. And he's just like, what's his name again? I don't recall.
That's funny. That made me laugh.
It's funny on paper, but the scene's not really that funny. Like the rhythm of the scene is not, it doesn't culminate in a big laugh. It culminates in like an awkward outburst because again, the movie's making a point that Max is like an emotional teenager where he ends up just getting really mad and yelling at this teacher for being like, you knew how I feel. After saying for the whole first act that he just wanted to be friends, he's like, you knew I was in love with you. Why did you bring this horrible man here? It's like, yeah, maybe if you're hearing these descriptions and you're like, I love that kind of stuff. I love awkward, cringe teen comedy. Go for it. But everything I liked about Rushmore was more so like the filmmaking. I did not connect with the script, I guess, very much.
I can understand that. Like, because I guess I would maybe feel similarly in your situation, because I also, like, generally speaking, like the sort of coming of age comedy type stuff, comedy drama, I feel like it either hits when you're at a age where you can relate to it directly, or you can like look back on it and connect with it that way, like with your own experiences. But I feel like it's difficult to land that, and actually, and like in a satisfying way. I can think of some great examples. Like I love the movie Superbad. I think Superbad is
yes. A lot of people love
amazing.
Superbad.
Yeah.
That's a great example, again, of tackling the awkwardness of being a child and having to deal with all these like rising adult emotions. But it makes genuinely funny. It's not trying to be the same thing as Rushmore, but it makes a very memorable comedy out of that bit. It heightens it in a way that makes it work as a movie for any audience.
Yeah, totally. So it's not like a fair one-to-one comparison, but they're at least in the same ballpark, so to speak. So it's like, it's kind of just interesting to see how you can approach that similar concept and see one like that lands in such a big way for most people, and then this one, which is kind of, I'm sure there are people that love this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. It's. I'm trying to give my reaction while also framing how it might read to other people, because there are some movies that are about coming of age stories that are probably most impactful if you're coming of age still yourself. But there's ones that I had not seen when I was a kid that I still liked. I mean, the first movie you asked me to watch for our show was Pump Up the Volume, which was a coming of age, like dark comedy drama. Again, not even remotely trying to be the same thing as this Wes Anderson movie, but it's not a movie I saw as a teenager, but I still really liked it because I just think as a piece of art and as a story, it was like well put together, and I could see how it would speak to someone who was growing up around that time. Rushmore just feels like an incomplete draft of something that Wes Anderson and Owen Wilson as writers got better at later, I think.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it, because that's just kind of the blind nature of these picks almost, because if I had known, I guess, more so what this movie was, I probably wouldn't have recommended it, because it doesn't sound like something I would have liked that much either.
Yeah, I'd be curious I think their first film, maybe I'm messing up this timeline, but I believe their earliest film is called Bottle Rocket, which is from 1996. I have no idea what that one's about. I know that a lot of later Wes Anderson movies are about a huge variety of things, and usually about an ensemble of characters. This one is much more focused. It's primarily about Max, and then the other, probably most critically acclaimed element of the story at the time was Bill Murray's performance as a supporting actor.
Yeah, and like obviously Bill Murray's great, and like it's really hard to miss with Bill Murray. Like
that is worth talking about, though, because sorry, you finish your thought.
Oh no, tell me more. Did we miss with Bill Murray?
We did not miss with Bill Murray, but this was again part of the struggle of reviewing this movie in retrospect, because I have seen the full scope of Bill Murray's career past 1998, and I actually had to look up afterwards to get some context for why this performance was celebrated at the time in the way that it was, because I think he got a Golden Globe nomination, and it was a big movie. There's a lot of trivia about how Bill Murray read this screenplay and like was desperate to be a part of it. He loved it. He agreed to take almost no salary to be in it. He ended up even using some of his own money to like finance elements of the production. He was like a huge supporter of this film, and in turn became a collaborator with Wes Anderson for years afterwards. And I was like, why? I couldn't immediately place what element there was, but you have to look at it from where he was, because Bill Murray's earliest successes were all the same type of character. It was like the guy in Ghostbusters, he was this like snarky, sarcastic, cynical comic figure. And apparently he had been trying for a couple of years at this point in 98 to play a larger variety of roles and not really had any big successes yet. So this role for him in Rushmore was akin to watching like Jim Carrey in The Truman Show. It was taking a comic actor known for one type of performance and seeing a very different one that people really attach to. It's like, wow, look at the range on Bill Murray.
Oh, sure. Yeah, totally. That happens to a lot of like comedic actors where they try and make that sort of dramatic turn. It's also interesting that it sounds like he was sold completely on the script, because that kind of brings up an interesting point. Like people talk about like how a script reads, basically, and it's almost just like what we just went through, where you explained the joke of that scene to me, and it was funny in my head, but then you like when you actually see it on screen, how like you didn't find it that entertaining, like it transforms when it's actually like produced into a film. Because I can see like Bill Murray like reading this script and like seeing the dialogue like you mentioned, where these like young characters are speaking like adults, and the elephants? What are thematic elephants?
Thematic elephants.
Thematic elements of the film, and like resonating with that. So it's interesting, that Owen Wilson and Wes Anderson as writers, that like that was enough to sell him on this project.
Yeah, I do think that's the part to me. I'm like, man, I think in 1998 this would have hit a lot stronger, because you just couldn't see what had come next, and it arguably influenced the careers of someone like Bill Murray in a way where you don't even question now that he could play characters like this. But I'm trying to find. I had read an article. It was like snippets of an interview he gave, I think around the time the movie was released. He said, where does the quote begin? So he says, quote, this is from Bill Murray, the writing was so precise. A lot of Rushmore is about the struggle to retain civility and kindness in the face of extraordinary pain. And I felt a lot of that in my life. I play a guy who's aware that his life is not working, but he's still holding on, hoping something will happen, and that's what's most interesting. In life, you never have to completely quit. So it's almost like an optimistic reading on both his characters' kind of like failures in the story and the like dogged pursuit from Max. Because maybe the most generous reading you could give, and what the movie is sort of intending, is like, this kid's 15. He's pursuing an adult woman who's a teacher at his own school. This is inappropriate and will never work. But at the same time, the emotions he's feeling are real, and to be batted away so carelessly as to be like, get away from me, this is stupid, hurt him anyway. And I think at some level the movie's asking you to be like, hey, guess what? That still hurts, even if you're being told that your idea was stupid in the first place.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, I guess, what was Bill Murray's character then? Because we haven't really talked about much what he goes through.
Yes, yeah, I feel like I need to make sure to cover that. So Bill Murray is at the beginning of the story. Again, he's like a rich but kind of listless alumnus of Rushmore Academy. The first thing you hear, the first thing that's implied about him and his relationships is that his wife is seemingly cheating on him and has no relationship with him. He has his two sons who are both just like airheads that he has no strong connection with. He finds like a compatriot in Max, but then their friendship gets strained by the fact that they both have feelings for this same woman. And so he eventually kind of falls on his face, because even like it gets revealed that he does have a relationship with Miss Cross for a time, and it causes him to get divorced, and he loses a bunch of his money and starts living out of a hotel. So we kind of end up with like a classic, like down on his luck, disheveled Bill Murray performance that has maybe some of the funnier beats in the movies, although they're all very like small. But in the end, he ends up in kind of the same position as this 15-year-old. They both are just struck down by an effort to achieve the same thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that seems like a juicy role. Like, especially, like you said, if he'd been doing strictly Ghostbusters-esque comedy roles prior to that, like, yeah, there's a lot for him to dig into there.
I think, again, I'm still looking at this same article, which I'll have to link in the description for this episode, so as not to take credit for anything here. He also said that he felt the script, quote, showed how a smart aleck young man could grow into a world-weary middle-aged man, which I think is interesting. It's almost like his character in Rushmore is the end result of being the, like, Peter Venkman smartass guy for the first 30, 40 years of your life, and how it leaves you just kind of bitter and alone because you won't open yourself up to anybody. So it's like a borderline meta-narrative role for him. And it is a juicy role in the sense that there's a lot to pull from, but man, is it minor. Every expression from him is pretty small. I mean, really, I think the most outlandish thing in the whole movie is that there's a part where Max and Bill Murray are talking on the phone. I don't remember Bill Murray. I think his name's something Bloom. He's talking to Max on the phone and trying to convince him to stop pursuing the teacher woman, because he's like, come on, this is unrealistic. There's no reason for you to do this. You need to let it go. But at the same time, you're seeing that he's like camped outside the school and is like, he's now peering on this woman like through a window. But then at one point he's like walking across the lawn and there's these kids, like little kids playing with this like 2-foot tall basketball hoop. And while he has his phone in one hand, one of the kids goes to shoot the ball and he just like swats the ball really aggressively all the way to the ground and then just keeps going like he didn't do that. It's such a like, what? Like that's one of the more just like goofy bits in the movie, but it's such a like explosion of energy from such a like quiet character that it is kind of funny.
That's fun. That is fun. And that's why you bring in Bill Murray, to make like something like that work and like a character like that work.
That's what I mean. I've said this with other films that we've reviewed on the show. Like, I can't assail the movie for failing to do what it was trying to do. Everything Rushmore wanted to be, it is. And clearly, it was a big enough success that it helped continue the launch pad for Wes Anderson's career. So yeah, like not all of the story elements worked for me, but I think there is still something real being communicated by it, which is why I would not go as far as to say like, oh, this movie's bad. Like, no, it's pretty good. I wouldn't recommend going back here unless you're doing it for very like scholarly reasons.
I think that's a good way to put it. That there's something real being expressed by the film, at least in its intention. And that's worth noting.
Yeah.
Like, even if it didn't resonate with you or you didn't like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of the job as a reviewer. You want to be like, here's how this landed for me. Here's why it got there for me. But that's not to say that's the only experience you could have watching it.
Yeah. Like I said, I if I'd known a little more about it before, probably wouldn't have recommended it. Probably would have just recommended like maybe a different Wes Anderson movie from that similar time period. Oh well.
Oh well. Oh, Fisher. Max Fisher. That's his name.
Oh, I was like, what?
I remembered.
HBO Max Fisher?
HBO Max Fisher. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's Rushmore.
Okay, good.
Yeah. All right. Frank, I think it's time we moved into final scores and then our picks for next time. You went first today with No Escape, so I guess over to you. Final thoughts? Final score?
Well, yeah, like I closed out the review. I didn't hate No Escape, but I did not love it. So scoring it is a little tricky. There were things I really liked about it. As I mentioned, Walker from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
Fantastic. Love seeing people pop up. You're like, I didn't even know I was waiting to see them again, but here they are.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Yes. You've been good with turning a phrase this episode.
I'm the best. Remember when I couldn't think of the guy's name?
That was my favorite part. Yeah. So yeah, he was great. Like the action sequences were surprisingly fun and like well shot and well executed, which I'm always a big fan of, like well shot action sequences, because I think it's something that like often might get overlooked, you know, like there's many ways to shoot people punching each other and explosions and whatnot. And there's a way that really elevates it. And this did that. Even though that wasn't a lot of the movie, I do have to give it points for those. I feel like I'm drifting towards a 4. I think I'm landing on a 4 for this one, which...
Ah, gosh, I thought you were heading higher than that.
It's tough. Like...
All right. I can't influence the ranking, but...
Yeah. No, it's just, I feel like the problem is I didn't rate Grifters low enough. I didn't grade it low enough. I didn't grade it low enough.
Grifters should have been, the floor should have been like a 0?
Yes, it should have been lower than it is, because I feel like a 4 seems harsh for this movie, but it's not a harsh 4. It's not like a bad 4.
Okay, for context, because our scores have now become like a comparative scale. I gave Double Impact a 4 a long while ago, and I still kind of like that movie.
Totally, exactly, and that's how I feel here too. Like, and I mean, like I gave Shoot Fighter a 9, so like, you know,
so like, you're just a dumb guy.
We're just, you know, it's like we've said, this is not something we normally do. It's very difficult to just like take all your mixed feelings and encapsulate it into a number like this.
If nothing else, Meet Your Double Feature proves that ranking systems out of 10 are nonsense.
Yeah, they're just a difficult thing to do. And so it winds up like kind of being vibe based towards the end when we get to this point. And I think it will be interesting. We've mentioned this maybe on air or off before, to like go back later and just, I think, kind of discuss some of these films like at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And then just
we'll
maybe see which ones, like you said, like, hey, you know what, actually I really did like Double Impact. Why'd I score it so low? Something like that. So
yeah.
But that being said, it's not a strong 4. It's a 4.
I thought it was a strong 4.
It's a strong whatever. It's a 4.
And thus is how the 0.5 was invented.
We're not doing that.
No. We're not doing that.
Strong. Like I said, I should have set a lower floor to this whole thing.
We were too
with
nice
grifters.
to grifters at the beginning. Yeah, that movie should have been a 1. Okay, great. So that's a 4 for No Escape. That's fine. I can handle that. I'll bounce back. Rushmore. I similarly would say that I thought Rushmore was okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. But I do think that the thing that tipped the scales a little bit in its favor is what we closed in on towards the end of the review, which is that for all of its shortcomings, Rushmore was speaking to some kind of real feeling. And that is actually somewhat rare in a movie, you know?
Oh, yeah, totally.
So with that in mind, I don't think I can rate Rushmore any lower than a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Because
respectable 6.
I think that surmises all of the feelings. I was a little sleepy watching it, and not just because it was late and I was sleepy when I started. It has stuff going for it. I would certainly not recommend anybody go back to Rushmore. Just pick up with whatever Wes Anderson movie you've seen and liked and then go forward. You know? We don't need to look back.
I don't know. There are some of his films that I personally want to go back and watch, just based on the ones of his I've
What's
liked.
the cutoff? You said you saw Life Aquatic. Was that a good one?
Long pause there. I liked it. I did not love it. I'm there. There's one I've mentioned to you before that it's been on my watch list for a while. You know, you have like a backlog of like films I'll get to eventually. It's what's the one where they're on the train? Where it's
that's the one that the Wilson brothers are both in. It's called the Darjeeling Limited.
Yes, very interesting name. And it's Adrian Brody as well, too, I think.
That's right.
So
The Pianist.
I don't know why that got me so good.
He won Best Actor for The Pianist.
It's just the way he said it, like the pianist. Like he's peeing in it. But
Sorry.
That one, like, I have high hopes for that one. And I've been wanting to watch it for a while. So that'll be like my test, I think, is I'm going to go back at some point, watch that one, make a definitive decision on Wes Anderson, and then never speak of him ever again.
Never speak of him again. Okay. Yes, I think what that is we need to find where Wes Anderson reaches equilibrium, you know? Like, where can we reach the point where it's like, just stay here. You can go ahead, but do not look back.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
And we will maybe bring that up again someday, right after we finish playing No Escape for SNES. Okay, so that is a 6 for Rushmore, a 4 for No Escape. Frank, this is exciting. You have won the episode.
I told you. I told you all.
He did, actually. Oh, man. I should cut that. You've won twice in a row. The streak is completely broken now. You won the first 2, and then I won several, and now you are back-to-back again. Not only that, if we look at the season 1 rankings, you've crawled all the way back. We are 1 point apart in overall, like, cumulative scoring all season. I have 53 points for my films. You have 52.
Wow. Don't call it a comeback.
I can't believe this. This is so good for ratings as we head towards the end of season 1.
We're going to have to figure something out. There is a possibility this ends in a tie. So we'll see.
Knowing our history of playing video games for 30 years. Probably will somehow end in a tie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just like the Halo days.
Just like the Halo days. I think we decided, I don't remember if this made it on air, but there was so much talk about the Prophecy movies last time that I think whoever loses season 1 has to watch all 5 Prophecy movies. I guess if we tied, we just both have to do it.
Man, yeah. I'm equal parts, like, looking forward to and dreading that if it winds up being me.
Yeah, that'll be mixed emotions. You'll, like, cheer if you don't have to do it, but then you'll be like, I can't. Yeah, that should be, if you win, you're not allowed to watch the Prophecy movies.
Oh, man. Like, but then we'd get to, like, because then you get to, like, rank them, too, and be like, man, well, okay, so we all remember Prophecy 3. And then,
yeah,
like,
and you'd have to be like, no, really? I wasn't allowed to watch it. Oh, man. Well, that's exciting. For the folks at home, again, maybe this episode's full of graphics. Check out the YouTube version. I'll put up, like, a leaderboard with 2 names on it. Again, I am ahead by the lowest possible margin, 1 point. This is episode 9. We've got 3 to go. So at the end of 3 more episodes, we'll see who the overall winner is. But yeah, I guess now let's move into... I almost wrapped up the episode. We haven't picked movies. We haven't even finished.
Why don't you just tell me what movie you want to watch?
Just tell me what movie, yeah. Okay, so Frank, as the winner for tonight's episode of Meet Your Double Feature, you get to select first for next time.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm going first because I have a question.
Okay.
Clarification of the rules here, because if I'm remembering correctly, I think this film that I'm looking at, you and I maybe caught like 20 minutes of this movie on TV together once. So I'm wondering if that disqualifies it, because I would be curious to make you watch the whole thing.
Okay, this is a good rules conversation. We can put up the rules logo. Editor me, put up a rules logo.
Let's go to rules. Can we go?
Let's go to can we get the interactive rules graphic up, please? It's gonna be the leaderboard again. So I think the way that you and I handle things, we keep track of all the movies we watch, just in general. Even before the show, we just write them down in order. And I don't write a film down if I didn't, like, watch the whole thing. Even if I was in the room, but I clearly wasn't paying attention and wasn't actually, like, engaged, I won't count that as a viewing. So I think this is fine. I think if we saw part of it, but neither of us just actually saw the movie, that's totally okay. Also, I think I know what this is.
Do you want to guess?
Well, there was one time...
Do you know the title?
Shoot, I'm trying to remember the title. I remember one time I flipped on to some channel that was showing old movies, and we both were so flummoxed because we usually know.
No, I know what you're thinking of. It's not actually.
It's not 13th Floor?
It's not 13th
Dang
Floor.
It. I thought I knew what this was.
I considered 13th Floor, yeah. No, this goes back, if I'm remembering correctly, I think this was on one of our family trips to Indiana, and this was on TV, and we saw part of it. I don't know if that helps or hurts.
No, just tell me the name. Why don't you just tell me what movie you want me to watch?
Yes. This is 1998's sci-fi psychological thriller film, Sphere.
Sphere?
Yes, starring Dustin Hoffman, Sharon Stone, and Sam Jackson.
Okay, I don't have this memory. When was this? When did we watch Sphere?
This was, listen, I could be totally wrong about this, but I think this came on TV one time. We saw, Liev Schreiber is in it too, if that helps at all.
I mean, we like Liev Schreiber, but okay. I mean, it definitely, I can do it for the show. I have no memory of this. That's funny that you're like, remember Sphere? Just like, I don't know this guy.
This was maybe, this could have been 20 years ago that this happened. Like,
yeah.
But
was I like really little?
Who knows?
Who knows? Okay, anyway, Sphere, 1998. Let me write that down.
Write that down.
Oh, gosh. What a load of buildup to me not even knowing what we're talking about.
That's it. That's fine. That means it's
fine. That means it
good
counts.
for the show. Yeah.
Okay, sci-fi. I haven't really... Have you given me a sci-fi movie yet, or is this the first one? I think it is.
Wow, that is what restraint on my part.
Yeah, seriously. Again, when this show started, I thought I was going to be... Now you watch this 90s sci-fi action B movie.
yeah, which wouldn't be mad about, but here we are.
Okay, great. Sphere 1998. No idea what that is. We almost let the audience in on a cherished family memory, except I forgot.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if, like, at some point you're like,
maybe it'll
wait
click.
a minute. Yeah.
So that's my pick for next time. Going in a completely unrelated direction. Our next episode is going to air on Thanksgiving Day. So if you are frustrated having dinner with your family and don't want to talk to them, go ahead and listen to our episode where I'm going to discuss Sphere, and Frank, you're going to talk about 1990s World War II movie, Memphis Belle.
What?
Look, you're always coming in here with your interesting, varied genres. I've done 2 sci-fis. You had none. So yeah, you got to watch a World War II movie.
All right. I'm not sure what your strategy is here for points, but
it's not. I don't know. I think it's okay. I don't think it's like
no. You're right. My phone auto-filled that title as Mephistopheles, so that's interesting.
Mephistopheles Belle. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought, like, what's a Thanksgiving atmosphere movie? And I was like, I'm just picturing some, I don't know, people our parents' age just caring a lot about World War II stories.
No, hey, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want.
Oh, you know why? Somebody recommended it in like a Reddit thread or something because they said Eric Stoltz is in it. Remember Eric Stoltz?
Not particularly, but...
No? Oh, he was the original casting for Marty McFly in Back to the Future.
Oh.
And he actually filmed...
Yeah. He got fired though, right?
They just binned him, but not for like a weird... They basically were just like, yeah, he's not playing as well as we thought. Like they filmed for a couple weeks with Eric Stoltz playing... Too tall, that's true. Go check out our Michael J. Fox equals Short King reel that we have up on our socials for more on that. Yes, so I don't know. I just was like, man, I've never seen him in anything else. What's he up to? And I just think that we definitely have not covered World War II drama yet on the show.
What's he up to? Eric Stoltz. What does he know? Does he know things?
Does he know things? The Stoltzster. So yeah. I guess, man, that's 2 very different films for next time, huh?
Hey, we always find some commonality. I don't know if we did this time, but there's usually some.
What was the same?
Let's meditate on this.
Yeah, do we know things? Let's find out. No Escape is about women, I think, or a lack of women.
A lack of women.
Yeah.
And mandates.
Mandates. Yeah. Okay. So I guess, like, do we wrap now, or
should we just end on silence and contemplative thoughts?
Actually, yeah, it's a good point. Everybody, after this, pause whatever player you're using before it just plays something else, and we're gonna meditate for a while on who really won World War II.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Coming up next, it's Sphere, followed by Memphis Belle on Meet Your Double Feature.